probably all know one of those little kids who ask too many questions. You may even have one of those little kids at home who ask too many questions. I was absolutely one of those kids. So picture little me, and I was probably actually this height at the time. So picture little me going around all day asking things like, why don't spiders get caught in their own webs? Or who invented the word Wednesday? My elementary school teachers were completely exhausted. Once in 3rd grade, in Miss McCormick's class, she was trying to teach a lesson on calculating the perimeter of a shape. And I interrupted her for probably the 1,000th time that day. And I go, Miss McCormick, Miss McCormick, Miss McCormick, what do you think the perimeter of this school building is? And I think I broke Miss McCormick that day because she turns around and she goes, I think you should go find out. And so she hands me a 12-inch ruler, a clipboard, assigns some poor soul from my class to be my buddy, and sends me outside for the school day to figure out the perimeter of the school building. Now, this was back in the 1980s when you could send 2 kids outside unsupervised and not get fired. And because this was the 1980s, it also means I grew up in a pre-Google era. I'm sure some of you in the room remember what that's like. For the young folks, the closest thing that we had to Google was our local public library. And I loved my local public library. And there was one reference librarian who always joked that out of everyone in our entire county, no one made him earn his money quite like I did. In fact, I asked so many questions about organ transplantation and checked the book out so many times when no one else had that he gifted it to me from the library's collection. And I still have it. So if you're have burning questions about how skin grafting worked in 1988, you can come by my office and I'll share. But this isn't, I know the theme today is transformation, but this isn't a transformation story in the sense that I grew up and, oh, thank God I outgrew that behavior. No, I hate to tell you, I am still very much that little kid who asks too many questions. Since we live in a Google world now, I don't have to bother as many people to get the answers. Lucky for me, I married the kind of person who's equally willing to interrupt our dinner to Google things like, what's the origin of the word shampoo? And also lucky for me, I got a job in academia where they sometimes pay me to be like this. Recently, I had the great privilege of teaching a course for the Honors College on the concept of curiosity itself. We looked at how it interacted with disciplines like economics and psychology, even animal science. We learned a lot by reading this interdisciplinary research, but the most important thing that we learned is that curiosity isn't some sort of fixed trait that you're born with and stuck with until you grow up to be some sort of eccentric professor. It's actually a mindset. It's something you can build and change. We learned that curiosity is a force for empathy and a potentially powerful engine for personal transformation. We also learned what the moon smelled like, but you'll have to Google that one, because with the time I have today, I hope to convince you that building your curiosity muscle might just change your life. Now, I would be a bad academic if I didn't clarify the concept first. So curiosity isn't just Googling a bunch of stray facts. That makes you really, really good at bar trivia, if that's what you want to do. But curiosity is something deeper. Psychologist Todd Kashdan defines it as the motivation to seek knowledge and novel experiences and a willingness to endure the uncertain. So think of curiosity as like an internal compass. And that compass constantly drives you towards wanting a deeper understanding of the world around you. And people who have that strong inner compass, the research shows, rate themselves as higher in life satisfaction, lower in anxiety, and they're better looking. I made the last one up, but I promise the first 2 are true. The research also shows that, as you would expect, little kids are much higher in curiosity, and that trait seems to wane as they age. But why? For 3 reasons. One is the fear of uncertainty. We live in the kind of culture that rewards certainty. None of us wants to be the person at the table asking the dumb question. But curiosity needs that uncertainty to thrive. The second reason that we lose our curiosity as we age is time. We're overcommitted, we're overscheduled, but curiosity needs time and space to breathe. The third reason is social conformity. We learn early on that it's just not that cool to be interested in some things. We also learn that there's some questions we're not supposed to ask. Ask a woman how old she is, and you learn that really fast when you're a kid. But the good news is, if we can unlearn our curiosity, we can relearn it on purpose as adults. And again, the research gives us the tools to do that. So how? First, by doing something called slow noticing. Slow noticing means to take something that's just normal to your environment and spend a little bit of extra time thinking about it. So let's say you're bored waiting at the doctor's office. Instead of pulling your phone out, pick something around you, a magazine on the table or a leaf outside the window, and look at it for a few minutes. Notice it. And then I want you to ask yourself, what are 3 things I don't know about this? So let me give you an example. Say I went to a meeting this week and I spilled my coffee. Here's the coffee spill. Look at it for a second. What do you notice about it? What color is it? What shape? So if I was going to ask myself 3 questions about this, I might start with, how unique is this shape? How many times would I have to spill coffee to replicate this exact shape? 100? 1,000? Infinity because it's impossible? I don't know. The second thing I might ask myself is, looks like the spill's going to stain, but why? What is it about the chemical makeup of coffee that causes it to stain? Do all pigments work that way? I don't know. The third thing I might wonder is, who were the first people that drank coffee? Did they eat the beans first? Like I have this sort of mental image of an early hunter-gatherer human who accidentally eats a coffee bean and proceeds to hunt and gather at rates never before seen in all of human history. So you can see how, in just a few minutes, we can take something very ordinary, a coffee stain on a tablecloth, and make it something extraordinary that spans from physics to chemistry and human history. We also have come up with 3 things that we can investigate further. And that brings me to the second way that you can build your curiosity muscle. So research shows that humans are less interested and less curious in something when they know a lot about it. But it shows we're also less curious when we know absolutely nothing about a topic. Our curiosity peaks when we know just enough and we sense a gap that we could fill. That's called an information gap. So one way to build your curiosity muscle is to get really good at recognizing those information gaps, feeling that kind of mental itch that happens when you want to know a little bit more. So I would encourage you to keep a note on your phone or a piece of paper that you write your to-do list on, and start keeping a list of when you feel that mental itch, when you sense that information gap. And then once a week, maybe instead of scrolling on social media, you take one of those topics and do a deep dive on Wikipedia, or you check out a book from your local library. The third way that you can build your curiosity muscle is by learning to ask more and better questions, just like those little kids. So the next time you're at work and you're trying to figure out the solution to a problem, instead of asking, what is the solution to this problem? Take enough time to pose a few more questions. Things like, who benefits from this solution? Who benefits from that solution and who doesn't? Or, what are the sequence of events that led to me being in this position trying to find a solution? Or, in a perfect world, what are 10 pieces of information I wish I could have to make the choice of a solution? Even if you can't get those pieces of information, the extra time that you spent posing these questions, I guarantee you will make your solution better. And good questions aren't just something for work. The research shows that if you ask deeper questions of the people in your life, you deepen your relationships. So the next time you hang out with a friend and you ask them, so how was your week? What if after that you went a little deeper and asked them something like, what did you do this week that made you feel the most alive? Would you be surprised how they answer? Or what if you met someone new and you get through the usual, what do you do for a living? Where are you from kind of questions? What if you ask them something really wacky? Like, what's your favorite conspiracy theory? My favorite conspiracy theory are the people who think both the country and landmass of Finland doesn't exist. In their defense, I have not seen Finland, so just to present both sides, I still think it's possible. And, I'm being a little bit silly, but I also don't want to present curiosity like it's some sort of luxury or hobby to be indulged in. I think that's true. And I think learning should be fun any chance you can make it fun. But I also think there's something deeper and more important. In our rapidly changing world, I think human curiosity is what's going to allow us to evolve and adapt. And in our increasingly automated world, I think curiosity is one of the things that's going to keep us more human. So, here's my challenge for you this week. Instead of trying to be interesting, try to be interested in a colleague or in a little kid who asks too many questions or in the origin of a word or even in a coffee stain. Because in a world that demands your certainty, I think curiosity is a form of intellectual rebellion. And I think that form of rebellion is what might transform your life and maybe could just change the world. Thank you.